Hi everyone, this is Tanya the Lady Strange. Welcome to another video from my living room. So this is going to be this is an inspiration from Debbie at Debbie's Witchy Blog. Not 100% like hers, but her video uploaded this week for the Tarot Card of the Year inspired me to do this and my own version of it. We take inspiration from other great creators, creatrixes, different people's channel, Tarot Tube, other collectors, and other magicians, practitioners. We learn and inspire each other. But we should also be integrating and doing what works for each of our own to present our own. But yes, there is always influence. That's what I believe. Plus, you can learn so much from others and find so much to help find yourself. So with that being said, this is the tarot card of the year. Like Debbie did this, so this is my version of it. We sort of VR as her channel is great. Check out Debbie's Witchy blog. She's got a great channel. She's a very talented, crafted witch. A great person. I interact with her and have the pleasure of doing so. If you like to see various crafts and her inspired practice, and her points of view and her decks and things she is or she has, check it out. So, with that being said, the tarot card for the year, if you are a card reader, a card collector, a practitioner of any sort, a spiritualist, yeah, you read cards for others, you for yourself, is I'm just mentioning it because it does fit into my card of the year. It's not the same, but they do go in tandem, and they will be. I know that. So I will be working with the card of the year, which is the Wheel of Fortune. I'm just going to cover up the man part. This is the poker size version. And yeah, YouTube frowns upon penis. Not that it matters, but yes. So this is the Wheel of Fortune. You can check out how the card of the year and your own personal tarot card by looking up Google. Google's got a lot of great resources. Do the research. That's what I always say. There's many resources out there. Use your noodle, like they say. Use your brain. That's what you have. Continue to learn, grow, and expand. So the Wheel of Fortune, of course, we know is about cycles, the upward and downturn of life. Life is a constant cycle of cyclical nature, just like the moon. Our experiences, patterns repeating, habits repeating, letting go of the old, shedding and coming into new. Nothing's completely gone, I believe, or completely integrated, but that's part of the life path and the life experience. There's always memories, there's always things to acknowledge or need to be acknowledged and processed, points of views, perspective, perceptions, new things we learn, dispelling old beliefs, and what we see and experience in the external world, but how we interpret too. So the wheel of cycles much like that. Now, some people look at it as it's out of control. Some people look like cycles of fate, like things are predetermined. I believe it's a little bit of this and that, just like everything else is. Many things are valid and inclusive, but again, it's all about discernment. I have learned new things and discerned and let go of old things, and constantly that's the way, as I said, the learning process goes in wisdom. But the Wheel of Fortune, I believe, this year is going to teach us about cycles, learning about how to kind of ride that wheel is spinning, kind of like the Wheel of Fortune from the game show or from Wheel of Fortune. Kind of reminds me of like that carnival circus type of game where someone's on a wheel being spun, someone's throwing knives at them. You know, there's that whole nail biting, cringe-worthy thing. Is it going to hit them? Is it going to wound them? Is it going to mortally wound them? And often life experiences can feel like that, whether it feels like wounding, minor things, minor cuts and scrapes, which are often that, or major wounding and major traumatic experiences, whether they're from the past, whether they are from the beginning, or whether they are from currently. Sorry, I just got a text that popped up. So that's what I was looking at. Um, but it's also about learning how to roll with it. What are you being dealt with? How do you approach it? How do you show up for yourself? Those things that matter in this life, despite the difficulties and adversities. What lessons can you learn? What can you let go? What can you let in? What can you find balance in? What can you find and be more objective with, but also still be a human and honor your perceptions and your subjectivity, but finding new perspectives, taking those actions and steps, and learning from what does and doesn't work and integrating. So that's the Wheel of Fortune. I believe that's part of the message and of that this year. And but my card with the calculation, you can look up your birth major arcana card. And mine, sorry, my nose itching. I believe got allergies. Constant thing with Tanya. It is what it is. So, and I'm not gonna hide this one. It's got nudity, but this is my favorite death card of all my decks. Look at death. Death is my card of 2026. And look at that beautiful, beautiful death card. Again, my favorite of all my probably 75 to 100 tarot decks. Yeah, so yeah. And I have a bunch of Oracle too. So yeah, 160 plus decks. Yeah, some people got more, some people got less. It's what matters and what works. I kind of like to collect, and I like the strange things. That's why I am after other Lady Strange. Death. Now, death is different things. Obviously, death is in the death card isn't always, and it can be obviously about physical death. I mean, everything dies at some point or another, whether we're us as humans, animals, the trees that we see, the plants that we live, experiences, cars. Hey, you get in a car accident, or car gets old or dies, that dies even. Everything has life and energy, is recycled. Now, death is only part of the phase, just as birth is and just as life is. Now, death, many people fear. I don't necessarily fear death. I do fear the loss of control. I do like being in this life and learning new experiences, honoring my relationships, growing, trying new things, and just continuing to strive to be a better person, a better woman, and to honor my magic and just be. Um, but yes, but death is also about transition from one phase to another, as is the Wheel of Fortune. That's why I'm saying they go in tandem. Tandem. I can't talk as usual. Yeah, but in tandem, they go hand in hand. That's why I did that both. This year, 2026, the past several years, like 2025 was the Hangman, and the more I reflect, the more I do see where I did learn many lessons of the Hangman, and many things embodied. Now, 2026 is going to bring death and the wheel, so change. I am constantly going through change. I have a lot of tower moments I've had for the past. I have to say, if I'm being fully honest and reflective and looking back and lessons that I've experienced, circumstances I've experienced, that were many were within my control and I contributed to and take responsibility for, but those things that are outside of my hands, but still are part of the equation, as other people do affect us, and so doesn't life. Um, is that basically in that aspect is probably since 2018, give or take. Yeah, when I had ketoacidosis and almost died. Yes, there's death. There it is on there. I just had the flu at the end of 2025 to 2026. Severe. I lost all sense of body control and being in the hospital and my independence. So, in another form of death, or at least it felt like that to me in certain ways. So, yeah. So already 2026 is already carrying some of that vibe. But death is also, the death card is about transmutation, transformation, transmutation, what no longer serves, what needs to go so that the new can come in and the new can be embraced. To make room and healthy integration, how can we let things go? How can we move forward? How we can transition from one phase of our lives, whether, our youth, our teenage years, our adulthood, our male and female crone phases, and just what life deals at us, the different circumstances. Life is often very challenging, especially for each of us. All of us have our own challenges, and the world is very challenging, and it's not getting any easier anytime soon. It's quite the opposite. But it is, like I said, you roll with it the best you can. So, yeah. So I'm looking forward to the lessons that death and change and transformation brings me, to shedding my old skin, so to say, to be that, because I am, after all, a left-hand practitioner, left-hand path witch. I do work with all forms of magic, so, and empowerment, and I do work at changing myself and versions, but to better understand that. As much as I preach about change and embracing it, I have a hard time. So I think that's going to be a huge lesson, is to more integrate that and acknowledge the truth of things, of what needs to be released and what needs to be reborn, what needs to be transmuted. And the transitional phases of life and lessons and experiences. So, with that being said, on that, we're going to see what the year 2026 brings, and what the lessons of death and the wheel together bring me, of things that are in or out of my control, and what I do need to discern when it comes to that, and how I can make the transitional phases and transmutation in my life as a woman in this experience, my relationships, my day to day, the magic and the mundane, and to honor my own sovereignty, but to own I work with death in all aspects already, as I work with the god Hades and Hecate, so I have been for years. So that's probably part of it too, and maybe building a more in depth and reverent mutual relationship with them. But with that being said, yes, death. My year is death. Let's see what the lessons and archetype of this and the aspects of death has to show, teach up for me, for my personal evolution as a woman, and also as a sovereign being and a witch slash magician and lifetime practitioner. With that being said, thanks for watching. And of course, please like, comment, subscribe, as it helps my channel grow. If you have any comments, or you want to let me know about what your tarot card of the year is, or your point of view, or what you might be working with or presented with, or think maybe that 26 might bring you 2026 meaning, let me know below. Comments are greatly appreciated. Thank you, and stay strange.